Hello family, and listen, we gotta have a conversation. For this webisode, I just feel it's necessary to have a brief conversation about the heart that doesn't vent. Here at my local church, I'm doing this Try Me series, right? And I really felt as though the Lord prompted me to dedicate a segment of the series talking about these are my confessions. And the reason I feel as though this is so necessary is because James chapter 5 lets us know, confess your faults one to another, pray for one another so that you might be healed. There is a level of healing that only comes when you start talking. And I'm just a firm believer that the only way to effectively handle and dismantle trauma is by addressing the roots, not the twigs. When you address the twigs, if you cut it, it's just gonna grow right back. But we need to unearth some stuff. We need to pluck up some stuff. So I believe the roots of a lot of this stuff started from my childhood. From this statement in particular, what goes on in this house stays in this house. All that did was classically condition us to cry in secret but smile in public. PhD in inhaling, GED in exhaling. And I wonder if maybe this is one of the reasons why my generation is so good with Instagram. Because ever since we were a child, we were taught how to apply filters. We were never allowed to address the raw, unedited, uncropped version of our mom, our dads, of our church, of our brothers, our sisters, our aunts. So surely we're not gonna post the raw version of ourselves. And then being told to shut up and go to your room, you know what that did? All that did was create a heart that doesn't know how to vent. And so here we are in our room, sitting on the edge of our bed or sitting in the chair of emotional imprisonment, rocking ourselves back and forth. I believe this is how anger issues started. I believe this is how addiction started. I believe this is how depression started. I believe this is how alcoholism started. I believe this is how substance abuse started, because we were not allowed to have a heart that knows how to vent. And so now that we're older, when something offends us, when something hurts us, what do? We go back to that little boy or that little girl and sit in that chair of emotional imprisonment because we do not have a heart that knows how to vent. The statement, I can't breathe, is actually our reality. Our emotions can't breathe. Our frustrations can't breathe, our stress can't breathe, and here we are forever gasping for air under the knee of injustice and parental extended wounds. Because parental wounds lead to emotional tombs, and there's somebody watching this right now that you're still trying to resurrect what never should have died. We've been taught ever since childhood how to have a heart that doesn't know how to vent, and build-ups lead to blow-ups. That's just a portion of what I believe what's going on in the world today. If there's a person that has not effectively been taught and allowed to vent, it comes out in unhealthy forms. The person that hasn't had therapy, the person that feels as though they can't express themselves. When they're angry, sometimes it comes as cussing you out. And just like today, I'm not condoning it, but I understand the roots. Some people are venting in the form of rioting, and some people are there just trying to like chaos. That's just facts. But other individuals, they don't know how to vent in a healthy way. And I believe the root of this is us having hearts that never were allowed to vent, never were allowed to speak up, not only in politics, our history, government, the community, our school system, but also some of this started from home. But I firmly believe this generation is a trauma-breaking generation. Just think about it. Now we have plus-size stores. It's okay for you to have natural hair. There are breast cancer survival models. It's almost like we're trying to get people to understand it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to have flaws. It's okay for me not to be okay. It's like we're crying out loud, I'm tired of being fake. I'm tired of acting as though I have it together. I want authentic joy. I want authentic wholeness. And I firmly believe that you watching this, you're a trauma breaker. How do you know that you're a trauma breaker? I believe number one, awareness. You are the one in your family and you are the one in your community that's aware that this is not healthy. This is not good vibes. This is not conducive for my spiritual growth. You're just aware. You just woke. You're like, man, do y'all see this? Do y'all see how everybody's getting divorced in my family? Do y'all see how everybody's an alcoholic in my family? What everybody else thinks is okay, you're aware that it's not. Number two, abnormal. You never fit in. You just don't fit in. You don't even fit in with your family. You are the abnormal one when it comes to your family. You're just like the oddball. And that's because God has called for you to be the example. Christians weren't made to be popular. But if we are, it's because we do what's unpopular. Our lifestyle is the antithesis of everybody else around us. If you want to know if you're a trauma breaker to everybody around you, you just appear to be abnormal. But here's the thing. When you surround yourself with a kingdom community, your abnormal becomes normal. Because we're abnormal to culture, but we're normal to kingdom. And usually what culture thinks is abnormal, kingdom thinks is normal. And what kingdom thinks is abnormal, culture thinks is normal. Number three is a big one, separation. I've noticed this with God. When you are called to break something, when you're called to set a tone, when you're called to be a trendsetter, when you are the example, there is a season in your life where God separates you. And if you cannot identify this, and if you mislabel this season, you will be the person that's trying to date when God is trying to have you obscured. Everything valuable God covered. Diamonds, he covers. Pearls, he covers. And sometimes you're in a season where God is trying to cover you because of where he's going to send you to. Separation. Moses was separated for a time because there was something he had to break. Jesus was separated for a time because there was something he had to break. Joseph was separated from his whole family because he was going to provide for them. Whenever you're going to break something or shift something, God always has a season of your life where he separates you. Number 4, this one right here, I wish somebody would have told me this when I first started off my ministry. You have supporters, lurkers, and opposers. I was so confused when I first started ministry, and when my wife and I first started doing webisodes, I thought immediately everybody was going to support, but everybody didn't support. And I confused lurkers as supporters. There's some people who are monitoring you, but they'll never support you. And you got to be careful because sometimes support is a trap. If you know that God told you to do this, who cares if they like it? Who cares if they share? Who cares if they endorse? You are not called to get everybody's approval. You're called to be effective and obedient with your assignment. Don't you start feeling discouraged and downcast and stressed because you're not getting the support from people that you thought would support you. They may need to see you do it. And sometimes people who are jealous of you are the ones closest to you. You know why? Because y'all both came from the same place. And when they see how far you are compared to where they are, your growth reveals how stagnant they have been. Growth always agitates the stagnant. Don't get tripped up by that. You just kill it with what God told you to do. And when you're a trauma breaker, the enemy will always use people to try to oppose you because he does not want you to dig up the roots. He wants to keep you stuck on the twigs. It's Redefined TV, where redefining relationships righteously.